What's up, guys? Welcome to my garage. This is not my normal filming location, obviously. I'm moving this week out of this house, which has served me very well, but I got my own place. I'm just gonna be renting an apartment on my own. It was like a crazy good deal, but I wasn't expecting to move this month, and wow, has this thrown the schedule of this channel out of whack. I did not get as much done in June as I wanted to get done. I'm gonna be moving in the next couple days, and I really love this desk that I use, but it needs to be refinished, and so I'm taking some time in the garage today to do that because I won't have a garage at my new place. Right now, I'm just painting this desk. The primer is drying. I'm not painting it purple, I'm painting it dark green. But while I'm sitting here in the garage, I figured we should do a mid-year check-in since we're halfway through the year. Just talk about what have been some of the best albums of the year so far, some of the biggest surprises, some of the great chart stories. Why not, you know? While I paint this desk tonight, we can also kind of check in about what's happening in country music. Oh shoot, I forgot I was filming. Let's start with some of the most obvious stuff. What are some of the best albums of the year so far? We gotta have Gabe Lee's Honky Tonk Hell in this conversation.
Lord knows I've never been afraid to die. I just can't stand the thought of coming home.
All the beautiful, sensitive storytelling that reminds me of Townes Van Zandt and Bob Dylan that we got on Eveline, the kind of poetry put to music that Gabe Lee did on that album, he brought that same folk style and then added a rock energy, a kind of southern rock, honky-tonk vibe to this follow-up record, and it just took it to another level. The same can be said about Ashley McBryde's follow-up album, Never Will.
The first thing I reach for.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a mainstream artist that is doing more quality work than Ashley McBryde right now. When you take her swagger and her songwriting style that somehow captures the mundane aspects of small-town life, and you take her kind of anger and her lustiness and her humor, and you mix it in with the rock styles of Jay Joyce, you just get an amazing album, and that's what Never Will is. The Panhandlers album is awesome.
I got no handle on what I'm doing here.
The Panhandlers, in case you don't remember, are the supergroup made up of Cleto Cordero from Flatland Cavalry, William Clark Green, Josh Abbott from the Josh Abbott Band, and John Bauman, who also put out a great record this year called Country Shade. They formed a Texas supergroup together and made this album that is themed after West Texas, and it captures a sense of place better than almost any other album I can think of. And to hear songs about cactuses and tumbleweeds and little cowboy poems like Panhandle Slim, it's just super, super beautiful. This album will make you smile, it'll make you think, and mostly it'll make you feel that sense of wonder that good music should. Another album that'll definitely make you smile is The K Is Silent by the Hot Country Knights.
Everybody do the moose knuckle shuffle.
This is Dierks Bentley's Joke group, in case you forgot. They kinda got lost in the middle of all of quarantine, and they had this album that came out. It's like a love letter to 90s country and just a middle school boy's sense of humor mixed into one album, and it's delightful. You've got some American exceptionalism on songs like The USA Begins With Us. You've got some almost Midland or Brooks and Dunn vibes on songs like Mull It Over. And then you've got some innuendo that's so straightforward that it's not really even innuendo on their duet with Terry Clark, You Make It Hard. For being a joke album, I think I had pretty low expectations, but this super exceeded them. Musically, it's a pleasure to listen to. And now I think all my primer is dry. Oh, hey. I just realized I've been wearing this face mask for this whole video. Another album I think that should be on your radar this year is the new one from Brandy Clark called Your Life Is a Record.
We both been burned, but we're still gonna play.
If you're someone that really likes musical arrangements, you like a little bit more of a lush sound with more of an orchestral vibe and some whimsy, you will love this record because you got Brandy Clark's super sharp Nashville songwriting style. She has a great way with words. Sorry about all these birds. But then you mix it with the horns and the flutes and just some other different instruments and different melodic styles, and you've got a really captivating album. Another amazing singer-songwriter is Hailey Whitters. Her album Heartland was incredible. There's a song on there called 10-Year Town about struggling to make it as a Nashville songwriter, and you will understand that she is worthy of making it as a Nashville songwriter when you hear someone like Janice at the Hotel Bar, or even the title track, Heartland. I also really like Jason Isbell and the 400 Units' new album, Reunions.
Be afraid,
At first listen, I wasn't super sure about this album, but it's such a grower. And some of the off-puttingness, I would say, of the opening track that feels kind of long and a little bit preachy really wears away by the end of the album, and you get into more soul-stirring moments, whether it's Only Children or St. Peter's Autograph, or my personal favorite, the gospel/murder song River. Okay, let's see what color this is. It's called Hunt Club. I really liked it on a paint chip. Oh yes, this is exactly what I wanted it to be. If you guys have seen my wardrobe, you know I like everything to be this kind of like forest green, almost like a little bit of jade. I love this color. Couple other albums I gotta mention. First is Jesse Daniels' Rollin' On.
Feeling low with a lack of inspiration.
This has this awesome Bakersfield vibe to it. It's got such fun songs like Mayo and the Mustard and then Sons of the San Lorenzo, and it just is gonna make you feel like you are sitting on a mesa, watching the sunset and enjoying some classic, beautiful, but fresh, new feeling country music. I really loved Kip Moore's new record, Wild World.
Well, Dylan went to New York, Cash went to Nashville, Mark Twain floated on the Mississippi.
That's another record that even since when I reviewed it has grown on me tremendously. It captures that angst of this guy that wants to be this ultimate man that he knows he could be, but is still kind of stuck in his rebelliousness. And so songs like Fire and Flame, Red, White, Blue Jean, American Dream, Payin' Hard. They're really intense and they rock. This feels sort of Springsteen-y. It feels very 80s inspired. It's a great album. I also think there's something super interesting about Zach Bryan with his follow-up album, Elizabeth. I have a long video on that and a lot of thoughts on the album. You should check it out. Some people feel like, what is all the hype with this kid? But I feel like the hype is just the rawness of this beautiful album. Here's where we're at after the first coat. You can see that's pretty streaky. It's gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best. Going crazy the night before I move in my garage. There's still a few other albums I want to mention. One of them is John Anderson's album Years. It's a great album. It's somehow both really solemn but also really breezy at the same time, and it just feels like your wise old grandfather giving you some life advice. And then the other two albums that I thought were really worth mentioning were both produced by Shooter Jennings. One was this new Jamie Wyatt album, Neon Cross. I talked about it super recently, so go check out that review, but she's just raw and cool, and I think that album has a lot to say. I also really liked the album American Aquarium's Lamentations. BJ Barham is one of the songwriters of our lifetime, and I like that he's able to be angry at the state of the world, but he always points the finger back at himself and figures like, what can I do?
Taped in here or somewhere else?
Huh? Okay, everything has been painted up for a second time. I gotta wait for that to dry, and so I'm gonna try and do the rest of this video now, which is not albums, but just kind of what else has hit us in 2020? You know, what has pleasantly surprised us? What's been stuff worth pointing out? And I would say the first thing that came to mind was Luke Combs' song 6 Feet Apart.
When the dogwood start to bloom and the crickets hum.
This, more than anything else, will always remind me of this weird season of 2020. How sad we all felt not being able to be with our loved ones and how much we wanted to be with them. And it's this like cool, weird little time capsule that I think is a really, really beautiful, strange song. I mean, there's been a lot of good quarantine songs. I've loved everything from, Emily Scott Robinson just dropped The Time for Flowers, and Flatland Cavalry had War With My Mind, and Gabe Lee had Talk to You, and even Cody Jinks dropped an old song of his called Watch the World Die, which was a different spin on things. The other mainstream one that I think is worth pointing out is Miranda Lambert's Bluebird.
If the house just keeps on winning, I got a wild card in my sleeve.
Against all odds, and I say against all odds because Miranda has not been a darling with country radio for a while. This song is blowing up and becoming a really big hit for her, and I think Wild Card's a good album. It's another album that has grown on me a lot more, and I liked it to begin with. But I'm happy for Miranda. I love the hopeful message of Bluebird, and I love how it's about taking the tough shots that life gives you and turning it not only into good things, but into music. Miranda's part of a bigger narrative too, and it's one that I've been encouraged to see in the first half of 2020, and that we're getting a lot more hits by women. And I know there's a lot of people that find that just a completely annoying narrative, but I've for a long time thought that country radio has been an unfair landscape. And 2020 is the first time in like 7 years of talking about this that I've really ever seen the chart kind of look different. Ingrid Andress had a huge hit with More Hearts Than Mine. Gabby Barrett had a huge hit with I Hope. Maren Morris had a big hit with The Bones. What's her song called? Maddie and Tae's Die From a Broken Heart's finally becoming a hit. Ashley McBride is climbing the chart. The weird thing that's happened in the last 20 years is that as women have played on radio less and less, they've kind of taken more chances lyrically and I think had more interesting words in their songs. And so I think it's cool to see audiences actually hear the songs for once. Is stuff like The Bones on the way poppy end of the spectrum? Yeah, but so are half the songs by the dudes. I also thought it was fun seeing Scotty McCreery get another #1 with his song In Between. It's not my favorite song of his. I really wish Barefootin' had been a single from this album, but you know, Scotty's had such a big comeback. For him to go from Southern Belle and getting dropped by his label to coming out as an independent artist and getting 3 #1 hits in a row, it's pretty cool. A few other things that came to mind that feel interesting to talk about in 2020. Sam Hunt's album Southside, which I don't think is that successful of an album, although I feel like I liked it more than a lot of people did. But that song 2016 from that album, I think, is an amazing song. It's totally acoustic.
I can drive 1,000 miles in your house, walking like I walk down.
And I just kind of like that it stretched people's perspectives. I'd also include Randall King's Hey Cowgirl and Mirror Mirror. Those songs are awesome, and discovering Randall King this year, and I think he could be like the next George Strait, has been really a delight. There's so many artists, in fact, coming out of the Texas scene that I'm just loving. You know, you guys know I love Aaron Watson. He just put out a new song called Whisper Your Name that's great. Discovering Tristan Merez this year has been really, really awesome. Charlie Crockett is another guy that I'm really taking a second look at. I'm not even sure if he's from Texas or if he's just kind of in the red dirt scene, but that song Welcome to Hard Times has been a great quarantine song as well.
Welcome to Hard Times.
So bluesy and different. And by the way, I have a Spotify playlist. I feel like a lot of people always ask, Grady, do you have a playlist? I do. It's always linked in the description of the videos. Go check it out. And then something else that's been great about 2020 in country music is I feel like I've been pleasantly surprised by so many people that I would otherwise have written off. And part of that's just I'm growing as a person. I think I'm losing a lot of the sneering attitude I used to have toward the country music scene. And good. I don't know where that came from, where that pretentiousness came from, but I think I'm just learning to see artists kind of as people and not have my first thought about them be like, ugh. But then at the same time, there's a bunch of artists that make me say, ugh, that are making way better music right now. Case in point, Luke Bryan just put out this song called Build Me a Daddy that is an awesome song. Zach Brown Band just put out a song called The Man That Loves You the Most that's a huge return to form for them. Kanan Smith, of all people, someone who really hasn't had a hit in a while, he had that song, something where it talks about muscadine wine. What's it called? Love You Like That? But he just came out with this new song called Colder Than You that's excellent. I mean, straight up excellent. It sounds really good. And if he leans into that nice mix of kind of bluesier, traditional country sounds with a little bit of a poppier production, I think that's a great place to be. It kind of reminds me of Larry Fleet, another guy I've enjoyed discovering. His song Where I Find God.
Sunday morning in a church pew.
There's also been a bunch of stuff that disappointed me this year, stuff that I'm not such a big fan of, but I ain't talking about it. I'm tired. It's been a hard year for everyone. It's been a hard year for everyone. I really hope that life can return to normal soon. We can talk to each other with love. We can laugh about country music, but tonight, I ain't taking that on. I'm gonna see if this paint is dry yet. I'm gonna try and poly over it. I'm gonna put the desk back together and then I'm gonna get a move on. Maybe once I'm in the new place, I'll do a little vlog and we can just do a life catch up. But for now, from my garage, goodbye y'all. And just here at the end, I want to throw in this little clip. This is, not the most satisfying clip in the world, but this is what I got done of the desk. It's still a little bit tacky. I wish I could give you a big, satisfying finished product, but still have to put a clear coat on top of it. But hey, I love it. How many people can say that they have a random dark green desk? I can, and I'm excited to edit many videos upon this desk. So later, y'all.